Oh, no, he didn't.
Girl, yes, he did.
What's up, girl? Hey, girl. Hey, how you doing? Oh, it's funny when we started doing these over a year ago because of the pandemic. It seems like this just makes sense on this is how we should do the podcast. See, you should be there. I should be here. We didn't have a video or YouTube element before the pandemic. So I was just thinking the other day about how much of necessity actually bred real invention and innovation. So welcome back to another edition of the podcast. Don't forget, you can watch this on YouTube if you're listening, but we appreciate you listening wherever you are. And don't forget, we always want to hear your comments and your thoughts. And don't forget about Patreon, which is a support system where you can pay a little bit to hear some behind the scenes information about some of the stuff we talk about on the podcast. And some stuff never really makes it to the podcast as, we don't need all y'all in our business, just the one that pay us. Oh, man. So, in this pandemic, one of the things that it's kind of odd because it's like we did more of it and then maybe this ain't the time to do it, and that's online dating. Okay. So we've always discussed dating online or meeting people online. And so we were going to talk today about sooner versus later. Like, do you think you should really meet somebody online like as soon as y'all connect to see if there's an in-person vibe, or do you prefer to talk to them? I have a friend, she prefers to just only text within whatever the dating app is before she transitions to the phone number, before she transitions to a phone call, before she transitions to a FaceTime, before she transitions to an in-person meeting. Personally, especially if it's a local or semi-local situation, if I'm interested and there seems to be some kind of back and forth from the initial, I would rather go ahead and meet sooner rather than later. What about you?
Yeah, no, I agree. For the most part, I think that's fine. Unless you get red flags or something like that. And it's like, I'm not going to meet them anyway. But sooner versus later, I actually, Bumble, who sponsors this podcast, but they just don't pay us for it.
They don't pay us. Most of our content comes from Bumble.
They actually have a FaceTime feature now on there where you don't have to exchange numbers to FaceTime.
Oh, okay.
You can do it on the app. And so I think that helps too. Just to see the person's face, see their interaction as you're talking. And so I've been doing that, here lately. If I meet someone that I'm interested in, maybe FaceTime them first. And then if that works, then okay, let's meet up.
So how soon after the first initial connection, swiping left, swiping right, do you right have a FaceTime from the initial match?
Within 24 hours, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're talking now, a lot of times you'll meet someone on a dating app and then y'all won't have a continuous conversation. So it may take a little longer to get rolling. But if you're having a conversation back and forth, I'm like, okay, well, even at night, well, let's FaceTime or whatever. So I've had that happen before. Yeah, I think sooner the better. That has like kind of bit me in the past because it's like, I don't like everybody knowing my number, but we do have a block feature now. So on our phones. So if it push come to shove, I don't know if y'all remember that Pizza Hut situation.
Yeah. Okay. So wait, so Pizza Hut was a sooner versus.
It was a sooner. Okay. It was a sooner. I actually met him that morning while I was at work. We used to work early morning shift and we were communicating then. And then I met him that afternoon at Pizza Hut. And
okay, so let's use Pizza as an example. Do you think that he would have exposed something? I mean, because you had enough of a vibe with him during that day that you agreed to meet that afternoon. Do you think he would have exposed enough in another day or two that you would have known that you did not need to meet him?
I think if I had FaceTimed him, maybe, because he was a very talkative in person, more so than he didn't give me much via text. So I don't know. You can't really judge that based off. In general, I would still say sooner rather than later, but even with him, like now I've learned like not to tell people exactly where I work. And I didn't tell him that, thank God, but it was just like I didn't, stuff like that, just keep it, you got to think about safety.
Right. So let me ask you, do you connect your social media to your dating profile? I know it's an option now. Okay. You? No, I haven't. I mean, but I didn't. I think the last time I was on the app was maybe 3-4 months ago, and so I didn't know that you could do FaceTime on it. And then it might have been a feature back then when I was doing it.
Right, it probably was, because I think it's been there for a minute.
Yeah.
At least during the pandemic, they made it a feature. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't connect my social media. I think in the past, well, first of all, I haven't met that many people, but let me tell you, somebody who was a same day meetup was Wet Pancakes, was a same day meetup. And even thinking about it now, I don't know that he would have exposed himself via more conversations or texts, because a lot of what showed that we were not a match was an in-person meeting. It was our energy, it was our dynamic. And I don't know that we would have realized that had we prolonged our communication prior. Right. So then that would have felt like a waste of time. So I felt fine in that, okay, at least I didn't waste more than 24 hours on that.
Right. Yeah.
I'm thinking about another, because I honestly have not met that many people off of Bumble. As far as people, when I say I haven't met that many people, I haven't like in person met. I'm really bad on Bumble because the woman has to make the first communication.
Right.
You've seen me do Bumble. I swipe too fast. I don't want to say hello. I'm not going to say nothing when you say hello back. So by the time I have actually met people on Bumble, I think I've met 3 total people in person that I met on Bumble in the past however many years I've been on Bumble. And I would say Wet Pancakes was one. One, I did date him for a little bit, and then we ceased communication and then picked back up later and then ceased again. So I think that's probably the equivalency of if you met somebody anywhere, as far as, I don't think it was associated to us meeting on a dating app. Right. And then, and I'm dating some right now that I met on Bumble. So yeah, I would say I've met 3 people in person, but all of them I met sooner rather than later. And Wet Pancakes was the only one that I never saw again. So I would say that's a pretty good record. 2 out of 3. I've seen more than once after the first meeting.
I've had a girlfriend. I've had a girlfriend tell me, because I think we talked about this before, just in passing, about meeting people sooner rather than later, whether it's a blind date or a Bumble dating app situation. And she was like, I tried that and it did not work.
But you know what? Let me tell you why I think it could be good to not meet as soon, because sometimes things that would turn you off about a person immediately, it's just because you don't know them. Sometimes because you've talked to them or because you've communicated via text or email, you build more of a rapport and relationship. And so let's say you meet them and it's not that initial that you would normally feel, but you already kind of feel something for them because you've kind of gotten attached to talking to them. You look forward to talking to them every day. You look forward to conversations. And so when you do finally meet them, they might not be that thing, but you give them more of a chance because you already have an attachment to them.
How long do you think is too long? If you, considering you maybe live within 30 minutes of each other, in the same city, basically, how long do you think is too long to communicate online without meeting in person? Pandemic aside, just in general.
2 weeks tops.
2 weeks.
2 weeks tops. And that's saying, I mean, it's a little bit different in the pandemic, but, we've gotten creative in the pandemic on how to meet at the park or, in open air spaces and things like that. But yeah, 2 weeks, if we've been communicating, also you factor in people's different work schedules and family and life commitments and things that were already pre-scheduled. Within 2 weeks, you should be able to meet each other.
Right.
Unless it's catfish.
I think that, and this is just my expert opinion from being on dating apps. Okay. If 2 weeks pass and you have not seen this person probably does not belong on a dating app, meaning they're either in a relationship or they're catfishing. I don't know, one of the two. I think, because I do see people in relationships on dating apps. So,
sure. So it might.
Now, not saying everybody that meets you immediately.
Yeah.
I'm not saying everybody that meets you immediately is available as well, because that's not the case either.
We know that's not the case.
If there's this thing where you're like, okay, well, let's meet up this day, and it keeps getting pushed back and something like that, I mean, they probably aren't available.
Very good point. Very good point. I guess because I haven't been in that situation, I hadn't gotten to that thought process, but that makes perfect sense. Either they're not available, they're in a relationship, they're just on the dating app just to have that kind of correspondence back and forth.
Right. Right. And if they're asking you for pictures and stuff, you already know what that's about.
Yeah, I'm thinking of of the 3 people I met in person, one was within 24 hours, one was within probably 48 hours, and one was within probably 24 hours. Yeah. So they've been very short turnarounds for sure. Right. So when someone does want to take But is it too soon? Can it be too soon for somebody to want to see you? Like you connect on the dating app and they say, let's say you swipe that morning and then they say, hey, can you do lunch today? Is that too soon?
I think I need a conversation, just like with anybody you meet. You don't just go out with people. I guess you do though.
I was gonna say, I know one of them. I think the wet pancakes, we did not talk. We just had been texting back and forth the whole morning, and then we met for lunch. And then the one that I saw for a little bit, a couple of weeks, I think we never had a conversation in person because I didn't know English was a second language until I got on the date.
Yeah, I've had guys that I think have asked for my number too soon. Like as soon as we swipe, when we say hello, it's like, hey, what's your number?
Yeah.
I just, come on, let's chat a little bit first. Because we can talk. You can call people on dating apps now. You don't need somebody's number.
Yeah, this is true.
You don't need that access to them. So
this is true.
I
guess I haven't had anybody ask me for my, maybe not ask for my information too soon, but I've had people that because I struggle with making the conversation or being in the mood to do it. I don't know. I feel like when I get on Bumble, I'm trying to prove a point that I don't want to date. So I think I'm never really in the right headspace when I'm on Bumble because I'm not overly hopeful of the outcome.
Right. Yes.
So I think by the time I'm swiping and then I got to say hi first, I'm already over it. So I will admit, I probably have not been the best bumbler in the past. But, I guess I've been successful in that I have exes associated with Bumble. I do have exes that
I've had dates from Bumble. People tell me all the time, like, oh, you seem like you have so much success. They haven't been successful, obviously. But I've met people, I've gotten out there. I've gotten in the practice of dating.
You've had more dates than you would have had, right?
Yeah, way more than I would have. Yeah, way more. So.
But I think, when you say somebody has asked you for your phone number too soon, I think of, is there something else somebody can ask you too soon? Because I've had people, it might be something as, oh, how's your day? What are your plans for the weekend? What are you looking for in a relationship? Why are you single? All those
why are you single? Please, just fellas, stop it. Stop it.
So why don't you want someone to ask you, why are you single?
I don't know what it is about that question that burns me to my core. I'm single because it obviously hasn't worked out so far.
Well, does that mean that? I don't think that means that to me.
Yeah, on the surface level of somebody I don't know, I'm single because I haven't made it work with anyone yet. What do you want me to say? Oh, because I choose to be single? I mean,
well, I think it's obviously a choice. I mean, you could be with a lot of the people you've already dated if you didn't care. So it is by choice, but I think there's a lot of different reasons why people are single. Some people are single because, well, I just got out of a relationship. So I don't think that necessarily means because it had never worked out with anybody.
Well, okay, it's not that surface. Why are you single? It's honestly after we meet a while, I'm like, I don't even understand why you're single. Me either. Shoot, I'm great.
And then guess what? And then they don't ask you out.
I don't even understand why you're single.
Whenever a guy asks
me and see it as a warning sign sometimes a little bit, especially if you're like, oh, I'm this age, I never had kids, I never been married, and they're like, whoa, what's wrong with you? Like,
yeah, but even if somebody asks me, why am I single? A lot of times I'll say, you know what, that would be something you would have to ask someone who's dated me. So maybe the next person I ask you. And you always have that pause of like, wait, what? Because I'm like, we ain't gonna work either. So when the next person that want to ask that question, I'll give them your number. But there's other numbers I can give you because I know why I think I'm single. That actually might not even be the reason why. A lot of times if I do find myself asking someone about being single, I'll say, why do you think you're single? And then everybody has a reason why they think they're single. So,
well, we used to ask this question.
May not be the reason.
The question on first date, I think we worded it the best when we would ask, what are you doing that's keeping you single? Because it could be a choice thing. It could be, I'm just not very accommodating to other people in my space. It could be a number of things, but it's always an internal thing. Now, if people ask me that, I probably would be more, introspective about it.
It's phrasing. I think a lot of things that turn us off in dating or potentially dating someone is the way they phrase something. After the fact, you can see what they were probably trying to ask you.
Right. And it's honestly not their fault at the end of the day. It's just that I've been single so long. So I hate the surface level. I hate those questions that you hear from everybody all the time. You know what I mean? Like, can you be a little bit more creative in our conversation? I'm just tired. Like, it's the dating app though. It really is a dating app. So I try to push myself past that anger of like just or boredom.
Because you feel that, and yeah, it's not an original or unique or creative question. But I think about how I have turned men off in the dating app by saying, "Oh, what do you do?" You know, and I'm just saying it too because I don't know anything about you. I don't care how much money you make. I'm curious about what you do. For the majority of your time is associated with your career. And so that indicates a good portion of your personality, your time commitment, your availability, your interests, you know. And so a lot of men have taken that as, oh, you know, why is that important? What does it matter what I do? So that's code for you ain't got a job or whatever. But I also know that some men have been in situations where they felt like a woman was looking for
right. So we're all like
some level or something.
By the time we reach the dating app, we're all kind of out of
right.
everything.
And so all of us are coming from somewhere while we're defensive towards certain questions that really are basic baseline questions. But we ain't got nothing else to ask each other. So what do you like to do? Why is he asking me what I like to do?
But you know what? It's surprising that I've connected with as many people as I have on dating apps, because a lot of, I don't know, maybe because I think they're cute or something, or some people are cuter than others to me or whatever. I don't know what it is. Like if their profile is interesting and they took time for it, like that's like a turn on to me. Like it's like, oh, that's, you know, I'm glad you did that.
And you've actually started doing something different in communication. Which I think is helpful. And
I haven't done it recently.
So one time I saw it on TikTok. This girl said she does these choices because the woman has to communicate first on this particular app. And it says, I can compliment you, roast you, just make fun of you, or tell you a bad dad joke. And so I sent that to you because I thought, oh, that's creative. And you've been using it, and it has encouraged a different type conversation.
Right, off the bat. Yeah, which made me, you know, more interested in being on the dating app as opposed to just being bored out of my mind.
But the problem with you doing that is that you enjoyed roasting them so much that it kind of probably turned some guys off.
Yeah, I think so. I posted a few in Patreon for them to see, you know, if it was going too far or not. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna say. I was like, I offered you this idea, and I think you may have taken it a little too.
And then I got mad because it was compliment, roast, or dad joke, and anybody who asked for a compliment just automatically got an eye roll from me.
So why was that? Why wouldn't somebody want to hear something great about themselves from a stranger? Who would want to hear a stranger?
Anybody who went for the roast is like, cool. And one guy, he got me back. He roasted me back like right away.
He did. See, I think I would take roast off the choices. I would just say, I think I would make up a different one.
Some people pick dad jokes.
Only because I think they wouldn't be able to take the roast in a fun way. And I also ain't trying to have them roast me back. So I think it's a funny idea.
It was cute.
Do you think it was effective?
It was entertaining to me, and so take that as you will. It didn't get me a date.
Okay, well, I'll take that as
so. Here recently, I met a new guy on Bumble, and I did not start with that. And we actually went out, and we're actually still communicating now. So, maybe that wasn't, you know. Maybe that wasn't the right approach.
That's funny how you go back and do the research. Now, I will say I had a good time doing that. It did not lead to a date. I did not do that, and it led to a date.
So I haven't done it since, and I haven't really been on there much lately here.
Okay, anyway. Well, there might be a correlation. It was fun and entertaining for you. Maybe not the most effective way to.
It wasn't fruitful in my purpose for being on a dating app. It did not fulfill that purpose.
Okay.
At all.
And so the guy that you did have a date on, how quick was the turnaround from connection to meeting?
24 hours.
24 hours. I would say I'm dating someone from the app, and I think our turnaround was from Thursday to Saturday, so 48 hours, I think.
Yeah, we FaceTime within like 15 hours, and then the next day we hung out.
Yeah, no, I think we connected. I think we had a day of kind of back and forth online, just texting. And then I think the second day we FaceTime. Yeah, so I definitely would say sooner rather than later. I also can see the benefit of forming a different type attachment, because sometimes our type or what we're attracted to is what's keeping us single. And so sometimes, because you might have that initial physical attraction, or you swiping pictures, so obviously it's just based on a physical component, right? Sometimes we might be missing out on a really great person because they don't match what we would normally be attracted to, but because we've already formed this back and forth and this rapport with them, that when we meet them in person, if we took a little bit more time, we'd be like, you know what, he's not what I would normally go for, but he's so funny and smart, and he's thoughtful, and
I try to utilize dating apps like that. I may not be attracted to everyone I swipe, like physically attracted to, or, that initial attraction, like, but there is something about them in their profile or something, that stood out to me. So I'll swipe right. Because at first it used to be just a left. And it was like, well, you're not getting anything out of this now. So.
Right. But even for the initial attraction or trying to find something different, I have actually gotten to the point where people who are historically attractive, or maybe something I would date, I almost am turned off by them, because I feel like they look too much like somebody I've already dated. So I can tell that the older I get, even just people in general that I find myself more interested in, they don't necessarily match my type or someone I would have dated before.
Right, exactly.
Either they remind me of somebody I already hate, or I just hate their face already.
Yeah.
A kind of a bald-headed dude with a beard, no. No. I'm just not.
Yeah, I don't have a type.
All of them. So when I see one that I haven't dated, no, you are bald-headed and have a beard.
I don't have a type at all now. I used to, but now it's just thrown out the window.
I think our types have kept us single. I've always said I didn't have a type. I'm learning more that I do have a type, and the type also, the type definitely keeps me single. But it is my type. But I definitely don't end up with them so far. That's a whole nother topic. So would you rather date your type, someone you're like really into, not saying knowing it does not have a future, but it probably didn't, but you're dating this person, and then, or dating somebody you're trying to figure out if you could like them, they're not what you usually go into, and it just keeps going on and on, but you're like,
still trying to figure it out.
I really don't.
That's another topic.
Like you, but you seem safe. That's a different topic.
Yeah, that's a different topic.
But your type is keeping you single. But is there some value in that? I don't know. Just as I was saying that.
Depends on what your end goal is. If you're just fine, just being with that person for the time being. But if you're looking for somebody who you can be with.
Think about how many people are with someone they not crazy about them, but they somebody that would show up. It's somebody that they knew wasn't gonna go nowhere,
And I think that's an individual choice about, what you prefer. At the end of the day, is what you want. You want that safety?
Yes. I think sometimes in relationships, you see people say, oh, they just got somebody they knew wasn't gonna leave them. But there's value also in knowing somebody's not gonna leave you, right? Even if you throw up a little bit in your mouth every time you look at them.
It's so horrible. That is awful.
I'm still, in all of my failed attempts, I still want to believe I will end up with someone that I'm really attracted to. And I think I have surpassed all variables and benchmarks for not being too attached to that anymore. I totally think I qualify for, girl, just get with somebody that's going to be with you and be good. And, I think I totally have reached that standard to institute that constitutional act. But I still have this hope that I do end up with somebody that when they walk into the room, I'm just like, look at him.
Do you think that grows over time? I know we all over the place, y'all. Yeah. But you don't think that grows? I do.
No, definitely.
I think that grows. I think that attraction
grow or shrink. Because think about how many good-looking dudes that when you first saw him, you're like, okay, and now you see him like he's so
exactly. It goes both ways. It goes both ways. So I think that attraction, I mean, once you know that's yours, I think it becomes even more real. And it's like,
he look like somebody I know from somewhere. That's interesting. Yeah. Okay. So do you feel like that grows from like an extended period of time, or just from date 1 to date 2 to date 3, you look at them differently because you're still attracted to them, you're still going out?
No, I think it's an extended
with them
period.
a long time.
Huh?
Or that comes from being with them a long time?
I think it's a everyday thing, but it can last that growth can continue, you know? And then sometimes you look at them like, look at this. I see married couples do that all the time, but they love each other. You know what I'm saying? It's just like.
I will say the guy I'm dating now, I have that to where he made the comment, well, you just look at me like you just love me and hate me. It is very accurate. It's like I could choke him out most days, but it's something about him that I just like, but I could choke him out most days. Yeah. So there's something about that thing of like, you know who I think has that dynamic, a public couple? I think Michelle and Barack Obama have this thing where, you know, they're best friends, but you also know they be looking at each other like, okay, what you about to say? That people gonna think you so cool and great, and I know the truth. You know, they gotta have that little thing back and forth.
That's funny.
That's healthy too, you know, because I think it shows that you have a realistic view of this person, that you love them in spite of themselves. Because you want someone to love you in spite of you. So I don't mind if you look at me like you love me and hate me. You still here, so cool, let's go with that.
Right.
I think sometimes people go away because they see the parts they don't like and then they leave. And it's like, well, it's parts you don't like too.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, we are all over the place. Okay. So, what do y'all say? Comment sooner versus later. Have you had a situation where you met somebody really soon and it was not good, or you met them really soon and it was great, or you just kind of, you know, it was a pen pal situation, or maybe they was in another country, and you know, it's a lot of reasons why you would not meet somebody sooner versus later. You know, they might have been in the penitentiary and they didn't get out. You know, Facebook dating seems to be the app for that.
Yeah.
And then it builds this bond to where even if you meet each other, like, oh, he's shorter than I like, or oh, he, you know, but it's like, but I already like him, so it's whatever.
Yeah,
there might be some value in that. It is beyond our vanity, or not. All right, comment. Let us know what y'all think. You can always leave a comment on YouTube or on Facebook or on Instagram once you listen to the podcast. Don't forget to share the podcast too. Don't be selfish, keeping us all to yourselves. Share the wealth, because you probably know somebody that has a situation similar to something we've talked about on some episodes. Send it to them and say, hey, I thought about you when I heard this episode. Then they get hooked and they tell a friend and they tell a friend, you know, tell a friend, share. That's how we grow our community here. Did you have anything else you wanted to add on that?
No, I'm good.
She good.
I want to hear from other people, because I mean, I know our experiences are different than others, so I want to hear what they got to say.
Yeah, I think right now we're on the same page on that experience. So okay, all right, we'll check it out. Oh no, he didn't.
Girl, yes he did.